Hi, I'm Rebecca. I love my mom, and I miss her every single day. I think about her as much as I think about my husband. Like, every single day, I think about them both, and I miss them both terribly. But the one bright side, well, actually, I shouldn't say one bright side, because, like, God allows things to happen. I have faith he'll fix our marriage, but, my husband and I's marriage. But, in relation to my mom, I don't even know how to start this. I have a lot of shame. Shame is a huge part of ADHD. If you don't know, I have crippling, debilitating ADHD, and I'm actually seeking diagnosis now that I finally have Medicaid for the first time in my life. I'm seeking a diagnosis, like specific diagnoses, so that I can get on disability. Cry me a river, babes. Cry me a river, Republicans. Because I'm disabled, and disability is for disabled people, and I have to just learn to accept that I'm disabled, and I can go to work again once I've, like, addressed my mental illnesses and disabilities instead of just stuffing them down and masking and then trying to commit suicide once a year. So, anyways, back to my mom. There's a lot of shame with ADHD. Here's a video down here from Dr. K about shame and ADHD or something, or a video that talks about it. I'll link something good. But I realized that my shame penetrates deeper than my ADHD. My ADHD developed, I mean, it's been a huge part of, like, my personality. Like, it's been also kind of devastating learning that my personality traits are part of my disability. And that I'm not just, like, a weird random kid. I'm a normal person, but my brain functions abnormally, and, like, that's a symptom of my disability, which ruins my life. So that's been kind of hard, because I kind of like I've grown up the weird kid, I've kind of embraced it, so learning that, like, personality traits were actually not my personality at all, and they weren't unique, and they were just a beneficial symptom of something that ruins my life, that was kind of weird. Makes me want to cry thinking about it. But like I was saying, I realize my shame penetrates deeper than that. It penetrates to the very core of my being. Like, deeper than I've ever explored within myself. Like, it feels like if my psyche's a pit, like the rabbit hole, a pit sounds dark. If my psyche is a rabbit hole, and I still can't see the bottom, like, the shame's still down there at the bottom, I think. I feel like it's attached to the very core of, like, my soul and my existence. Because what happened was, this is not funny, I'm sorry. My mom would, like, beat us as children, and, like, I barely have memories of it. I barely remember enough to know that we were beaten naked with belts. Not just pants down. She would strip us naked, like, make us get full body naked, and then beat us with leather belts. First off, ew. Like, maybe I'm just fucked up in the head because of my own traumas, but, like, why do you need to get fully naked? Like, is it a power thing? I pray to God it's not a sexual thing, and I really don't believe that it was. But it's just like, you can beat someone's ass without making them strip fully naked. Like, anyways, so she would strip us fully naked, and then beat us with leather belts. There's other stuff, too, that's part of my sister's story that she told me a long time ago, and I'm not going to repeat it, but I will say that I know for a fact that there were other types of abuse, physical abuse happening as well. When my dad found out, that's when he was like, okay, I do actually want to end this marriage, because he would just take her abuse, yeah, he would just take it, but he was like, well, at least they're not hitting the kids. Classic abuse survivor mistake. I don't hold it against him. It's a mistake that millions of victims and survivors of abuse have made, so, like, whatever. You're being brainwashed. I don't hold it against him, but in retrospect, bad choice. So the reason I've never talked about this before on my channel, even though I've been doing YouTube videos for like 6 or 7 years or something, is because I had a relationship with my mom, and I loved my mom, and I thought that she was better because she had gotten sober. Turns out getting sober was the very beginning of her rabbit hole, because she's still abusive, she's still manipulative, she's still violent, even if she's sober. So, like, it didn't really it made it much less often, but, like, sis still got some issues. Is it disrespectful to call your mom sis? See, I care a lot about, like, the biblical, like, don't disrespect your parents, but, like, I feel like I'm allowed to take power of my own story, is what I've realized. Like, I never shared this, even though it's been weighing on my heart for years, because I didn't want to embarrass my mom. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. But when I confronted her about a bunch of, like, suppressed memories that I had recovered, like, maybe a year ago or so now, I was like, holy shit, I was kidnapped by my mom. And that's how I ended up going to New Mexico, which was, like, a really defining moment in my life, completely changed the entire course of my life. Like, I was always told by adults that they did that because the situation was bad and they loved me, so I never really questioned it because it was so confusing that my little 7-year-old brain couldn't handle that shit. And then I hit 25, and my 25-year-old brain was like, we're ready, let's go. And I realized I was kidnapped, and that the whole things were bad, you needed to come here was all a lie. And I was kidnapped by my mom. She couldn't drag me out kicking and screaming because I didn't want to go with her. So what she did is she staked out her house. And then when we stayed out of the house, my dad knew, but I wanted to go home to watch this Rocket Power special. It's like a tidal wave or something, I don't remember. But there was a specific Rocket Power special in July. And my dad was like, okay, we can go home. We had gotten ice cream and we were eating it in a parking lot somewhere, hiding from my mom. So we went back, she staked out our house, called the police, had my dad falsely arrested. They talked to both of us and we both said that didn't happen. Didn't matter because sexism against men. And I was left in the hands of my addict, abusive mother, who then left me with a neighbor and went off to go get high. ACAB. Fucking ACAB. The police are less than worthless as a role. Like, individual humans who fulfill the role of police, they need to do something else. The role of police is fucking evil. It's a tool of Satan and oppression and slavery and literally nothing else. Anyways, so when I told her about all this and my recovered memories, she was like, she was denying it at first and questioning it, even though literally every time I try to talk to her about, like, traumas from her abuse, she's like, well, I don't remember that, but I am sorry, and I always just kind of ate it up. But then when I was like, well, I remember this, and this is how it happened, she was questioning it, gaslighting me, and then it got to the point, because I had so many awesome based-ass tools, God bless Dr. K, to keep her from manipulating me, she got to a really desperate point, which all manipulators and abusers get to if you have healthy boundaries and know how to circumvent their manipulation. They'll get to this really desperate point where they start being like, well, what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do here? And she started getting really desperate, and it was really satisfying because I had the power, babe. I had the power. She was powerless in our last conversation. I tell you what, oh, it felt so good to be. It was like I was the adult and she was the kid, and I could see her manipulation and abuse, but she couldn't even see it because it's just like the way she functions due to trauma. But it wasn't working on me. And then she was like, oh, well, okay, if you feel like you were kidnapped, then you were kidnapped. And it's like, no. I don't eat that shit up anymore, babe. No. I do not eat that shit up anymore, okay? I said no. Factually, I was abused. Yes, but factually, I was kidnapped. Factually, legally, by every dictionary definition, you literally kidnapped me. This is not a matter of your truth versus my truth. And she would try to say, well, I don't remember it that way. Which is interesting because, like I said, she would use her lack of memory, which I don't even believe anymore, honestly. Like, sometimes I do, but I think she took advantage of that and would just use it as a scapegoat. Whereas now, when she doesn't like the narrative, suddenly she's like, well, I don't remember it that way, and can't both of our truths be true? No. This is not a matter of opinion. You kidnapped me. And since she is basically, I have some resentment, I'm still working every day to forgive her because I love my mom, and come for me if you want. I love my mom. I want a relationship with her. I want my future children to have a relationship with their grandmother. Even if I would never, like, leave them alone with her for obvious reasons, like, I would still want them to be able to see her and have a loving relationship with her, because she is a good person. She just has severe disorders which cause her to be abusive. So, like, oh gosh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, but it feels like she's kind of just thrown our relationship away. Like, she said that I was, like, forcing her to make a choice. But, like, at the end of the day, you abused me. I need you to just acknowledge that you kidnapped me. And you're like, I'd rather throw away my relationship with my only kid left who wants a relationship with me. Like, okay, if that's the choice you want to make, if you just want to throw it in the garbage. She said, this is our relationship. She said, this is our relationship. She said, no accountability for me. Bye, daughter. So I'm just kind of like, okay, well, this YouTube channel is like a video diary for me almost. I talk about whatever I want. I talk about what's weighing on my heart. I talk about what's weighing on my psyche, and it helps me process things. And what I really need to process right now is the shame surrounding the fact that my mom would strip me naked and beat me as a little kid and tell me you're a bad, bad kid. You're a bad kid. It's almost like what I realized is like, wow, this is brain blast, crazy to think, but I think being beaten naked as a little kid while being told it's your fault because you're a bad kid might have fucked up my sense of self-worth. Crazy. I know. Someone give me a Nobel Prize, please. But it's crazy how when you're so close to things, like, and you grow up being brainwashed by an abuser, it's crazy how you internalize that brainwashing. So my mom said, I'm gonna throw our relationship in the dumpster because I care more about my ego than our relationship and taking accountability for my abuse. And so I'm saying, I'm taking power over my own story. It's my story, not hers. I would have kept this private, offline, but I don't have a mom to cope with, frankly. I don't have a mom to work this out with. I don't have a mom who wants a relationship with me. I don't have a mom who's willing to humble herself to be my mom. I don't have a mom who wants to talk this out with me. So you know what? I'm gonna talk to YouTube. Stay mad. Stay mad. That's all I have to say. Mom, if you're watching this, I love you. Stay mad.